You know, exposure to petroleum products such as arsenic and other pollutants have a great impact on the health of the mother as well as the health of the fetus. And the researches indicate that many problems have been associated with contamination with oil products. And one of those problems is the increased chance of miscarriages. We have seen a lot of people who come in contact with the contaminated water or food contaminated with petroleum products, or living in an environment that has been contaminated with petroleum products. We have seen women from those areas usually have increased chance of miscarriages, intrauterine growth restriction, sometimes birth deformities, and many researches and many events have been reported from the oil producing areas, particularly in Bentiu and other oil producing areas in South Sudan. So the incidences of miscarriages, the incidences of birth defects have always been reported in the oil producing areas. And of course, this is not a secret anymore. Photos have been shared, you know, in the media. People have spoken about it, including the parliament. So scientifically, these are the problems that are associated with exposure to oil products. Could be in form of miscarriages, could be in form of birth defects, could be in forms of intrauterine growth restriction, could also be in form of preterm birth, okay, which lead to infant mortality in most of the cases because of the facilities. There are no facilities that can, you know, that can nurture a baby that is born premature. So this is the known effect of petroleum products, and this is the known impact of petroleum products on pregnancy. And South Sudan, and particularly the oil producing area of Bentiu, is not an exception to this. Such as fatigue, sometimes sore throat, cough, you know, itchy skin, sometimes red eyes, and all this. And sometimes it could be as complicated as cancers, you know. So the impact on health of the population that is exposed to petroleum products, okay, usually range from that perspective. And when we talk of the impact, it does not only impact health of the people, but the whole ecosystem is affected in the process, including the plants, okay, and including the animals, okay, including the life, you know, that is in the ecosystem. So if the petroleum products are not adequately controlled, you may realize that we are losing a wide range of eco-life in the ecosystem, and which are important part of, you know, of our environment. And so the impact on health could range from mild to most complicated cases such as cancers. The approach is multifaceted, I could say. That one could be done through what we call the environmental remedy, that is environmental treatment. And that is a process that includes the biological process as well as the chemical part. The simple example is that sometimes there are some plants that are planted, you know, in the waters so that they can absorb pollutants. And these are done by environmental experts. Okay, that is a bio process. They can introduce some organisms, okay, that will absorb, you know, the oil spills into the waters. For them it's normal, and they can purify the water. That is one process that can be done by environmental experts, especially the Minister of Petroleum should oversee that, together with the Minister of Health and the Environmental Committee, okay, that is operating in the oil producing areas, plus those exploring oil. It is their responsibility to make sure that they do the environmental remedy. That is one way that we can solve the problems of the oil spills. One of the strategies, okay, for mitigating the risk that is associated with the oil spills in waters. The other strategy is by engaging the community. You know, the local community have a responsibility of protecting themselves. One of the ways is that for as long as they have been there, they know the water that is infected. Okay, they know where exploration is taking place. So sometimes it is helpful that they avoid using water that might be contaminated. They avoid using it for domestic use as well as for animal use. And then as well, avoid storing, water in containers that has been used for petroleum products. That is that's one way. And also for community to be proactive. If they are seeing spills, if they see oil flowing on the ground, they should alert the local authorities so that the local authorities will in turn inform the national government, and then the environmental committee, will go to assess. It is their responsibility also to make sure that they report that. The other strategy is to make sure that the government and the corporates, and when I talk of the corporates, I mean those exploring the oil, should be held accountable. I will better call it government and corporate responsibilities or accountability. One, the oil companies and government should be accountable for environmental damage that they cause. And as such, they should have to compensate the community. And land is one of the expensive commodities that nobody gives. You can either occupy it by force, or you were created there and put there by God. There is nowhere land is donated. It's one thing that the Europeans that are giving us aids, they don't do land aids. They can bring food, but they don't do land aids. They don't aid you with the land, So it must be protected by all mights, and the government, especially the Minister of Petroleum, should be accountable for any environmental damage caused. And when I say environmental damage, it includes all the ecosystem, ranging from those birth defects should also be investigated by the experts. What could be the cause? Is it a genetic alteration? The increased miscarriages, is it directly related to environmental pollution that might have happened due to oil exploration, or not? And if it is confirmed through scientific investigations, then the government and those oil companies have to be held accountable to compensate those people. The other way is monitoring and regulation, and that directly falls under the responsibility of the Minister of Petroleum and the Environmental Committee and all other regulatory bodies. I may not know how many regulatory bodies they have with relation to the environment. But it is important that they must establish a robust monitoring and evaluation system to track pollution levels in the oil producing areas. So that they can help prevent further contaminations. And I think this is the only way, and other strategies may be there by some other experts or through an established institution. Other established institution may come up with better strategies where they can mitigate the oil pollution in those areas. But at the public health point of view, this is what I think the government can do together with the community. Of course, it's a shared responsibility that the community have to come together with the government to hold those involved accountable. The issues of communities refusing to vacate their land. I will begin with a story that happened in one of the countries. There are geological informations, the technologies has discovered that one of the mountains there was a big crack in the mountain, and they have estimated that during the rainfall, at a certain millimeter of rainfall, that part will actually fall on the village below the mountain. And when they were told to vacate that area because of the danger or because of the anticipated danger, they refused, and they accused the government of wanting to take away their land. You see, in the due process, when the rain comes, that rock fall on the village, destroying all the houses and killing over 200 people, and the others were displaced. Okay, I want to say it is a culture. Many people don't trust the government, and they don't trust other people because they have been there for ages and they have not died. And sometimes they ignore the danger that comes with such technology and the process of exploration. So my advice to such communities is that, please, if you are told to vacate the area, please vacate. They must leave the area, but also the corporate social responsibility must be implemented for them to leave the area. One, those people were adapted to living in those areas, and their source of livelihood may be there. Their emotional attachment is to that area. And sometimes for you to move from one place to the other, it's not that simple to go and establish yourself. So my advice would be that if there are people who are victims of oil exploration, because this is a national wealth, they have to be compensated in a way that they will accept to go. And also, you must prepare a place for them with amenities. For example, if a whole village is to be vacated, there must be, a school must be built for them, a hospital must be built for them, you know, the area though that they were going have to be surveyed, and the security have to be provided wherever they are going, so that they have to leave this place and go and live in the comfort zone. They have to be given a full package of compensation. This will encourage people to leave. If oil is discovered in your homestead, you have to be compensated and go, because this is now a national treasure. Is a national treasure, and it is for your health, for the health of your children, and for health of your generations. So, if the government says that you have to leave this area for exploration to take place, you have to go. With regard to how far should the resident be away from the area of exploration, I wouldn't be unable to provide a specific, number of kilometers or miles where you should stay away from. But let me state the following things clear. Exploration is associated with several pollutions. One of them is noise pollution. One of them is noise pollution. I know decent man will accept to retire to his bed with that noise of those machines and trucks moving at night, at the exploration site. So if you live near the exploration site, you are exposed to noise pollution. You are also exposed to dust pollution, okay? Because most of the areas are not tarmacked, and the truck and the machines are making all this pollution. You are as well exposed to air pollution. In the process of exploration, there may be some aerosols, okay? And when I say aerosols, I'm referring to tiny particles that may be sent into the air, and human may inhale them, through the nose and the mouth, So the best thing we can do is to stay away from the exploration site as advised by the explorating company, by the Minister of Petroleum, with advice from the technical institution or structures of the Minister of Petroleum that are partners in exploration.